Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm your host Derek Schomer. Today we're gonna show you a little bit of a bar tour using the new camera that I have. And then after it, I'm gonna get nerdy and tell you about the new camera that I got, why I have it, and give you a price breakdown for those that are kind of thinking maybe I want to aspire to be a YouTube creator. So now that you've seen the bar tour, for those that have been waiting for that for like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years, that was shot on our new Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K camera, this guy here. Now, you think it would be special, because it's cool. This is actually camera number 2. I'm gonna roll some B-roll so you can see camera number 1, which is the main camera we use for the show. It's got a large Sigma 18 to 35 millimeter f1.8 lens on it. Estimated cost on that, $700. Estimated cost for the body, the Blackmagic itself, $1,295. That's this. You don't get this rig on here. This is an additional thing. So this is the small rig, about 40 bucks. I think it's a half rig, right? Is that what they call it? The SmallRig half cage. It's probably, I don't know, 40 bucks or so. There's an SSD mount, that's 40 bucks. There's a shoe, well, this is the handle that goes on top. It's about 40 bucks. Paid more on that one. This one's got wood on it. Not a big fan, but whatever. It was what they had in stock. You slide that on. Now you got yourself a handle so you can carry it around because this sucker gets heavy, especially if you put a big lens on it, like this beast here. This is a ultrasonic 28-135. Don't typically use this. I did use it for the bar tour because I needed to be able to pull back the shot, and my lens that I would typically use for this, or what I plan to use for this, is a 50 millimeter. Doesn't have any zoom at all. No zoom is better typically for these type of shots because I've got nice clarity. I get a good picture. The light gets sucked right through the lens. I don't have any other glass to get in the way. I don't have to spend as much. I can get a good single shot lens and not have to break the bank. The handle, 40 bucks. This for the SSD card, 40 bucks. The SSD card, this is a 1 terabyte, which I found to be the best. That's what I'm using over there. Started with the 50 or 500 gig, and that worked for a little bit. But sometimes if we go long on our live streams or I gotta film extra shows, I run out of space, and that's unfortunate. So that guy can mount right onto here. That's kind of cool. Basically what this half rig gets me is it installs around this half of the Pocket 4K. It allows me to lock everything in. I could put add-ons all over the place. That one has some extra wire connectors, some more controls for it, but whatever. This camera is primarily going to be to shoot the shot of Ian building the cocktail, so everybody could see that again. A couple years ago, we had a camera that would show you him building the cocktail. That camera died. That's this camera. It just came back from the shop. So this is my chance to make sure that thing still works. This shot over here on the side for the main cocktail, when the cocktail comes in, is just a EOS 6D Canon. This is really a digital camera that takes really quality high megapixel shots that are stills, but I use it for video because I have it. I use it for shots when I'm doing sponsored videos for the high quality thumbnails and stuff, but mainly for the show, I use it in its cheesy ass video mode just so I can get the shot of the cocktail. None of this would be complete without a display, because the Blackmagic Cinema has a cool display for the back so you can get all your pretty pictures and data and all that crap right on the back. However, that doesn't do you any good if you're having it look at you and you're behind the bar. Same with that camera. That one has a monitor on it. It's the same one I have here. This is a FeelWorld Ultra Bright. I'll just install it right here. And this is designed to go on that handle, thus allowing me to stack more crap on top of my camera. So boom, now I have a display, but goes right here, so I can mount this up and be able to both focus the shot and make sure what Ian is building is on the actual camera shot itself. Otherwise, I throw away the footage and it was a waste of filming 4K. That sucker right there, about 260 bucks. Of course, it doesn't come with a battery, which goes in the back. Batteries are stupid when you're recording for like 2 hours, so I bought an additional AC adapter just to power the monitor itself. Plus I have an AC adapter for the camera, which it thankfully came with. Then I had to buy an extra HDMI cable with a little coil, so it's nice and small, fits on here without dragging across the floor. Last thing you want are wires dangling down when you have a $1,200 camera with presumably anywhere from $100 to $500 or $700 lens on it. Not cool if they fall. And lastly, I have a speed booster. This converts this camera, which out of the gate starts as an MFT or a micro four thirds, which is a different lens type from all of the lenses I have except for one, and it's on this camera because that camera is a micro four thirds camera. It's usually on the cheaper cameras, I think. In the case of a Blackmagic, why would they put a cheaper system on a 4K camera? Because this is a $1,200 camera. If you want to spend $4,000, $8,000, $50,000 on a 4K camera that has your correct Canon full frame mounting parts, it's going to cost you a lot of money. They cut corners in certain places because you can buy a speed booster like this, which converts it from its micro four thirds to a full frame camera, thus allowing me to use these tiny little expensive lenses. And why would I do that? Because this little part here was $700. That's half the price of the entire camera. And the reason is, it's really freaking important. If you don't get the right amount of light through here, I have three lights that I use for the show. Everything else is dark. I don't want graininess or really crappy quality because I don't roll that way. If it doesn't look good, I'm not happy and I have to reshoot. Not cool. So I spend a little bit of extra money in order to make sure that doesn't happen. On top of which, I already have at least 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 cameras that are all full frame. So $500 to be able to use all my camera lenses, except I would only have one as an option. It was a no-brainer. On top of which, a speed booster does more. So first off, it converts it to a full frame, not just by allowing you to physically plug it in here. However, that is important. It would be like if you had a 24-inch piece of paper and you blasted a 55-inch projection on it. You're only going to be able to really see what's within the paper. All the rest of the cool things that are out there are lost. The micro four thirds, smaller sensor. Full frame, bigger display. This little speed booster narrows that focus in and beams the whole thing by just science, I guess, bending the light into a nice focused area and hitting the sensor perfectly. On top of which, it brings in additional light, so your lens that you have is actually a higher end lens. This 50mm lens with an f1.8 becomes a 60mm lens, so it's got a larger focal length for only 0.03 difference in f-stop, which is how much light you're going to get in aperture. If you don't know anything about cameras, those things don't matter to you. One thing to know, higher, more expensive lenses will have a lower f number, like f1.8, f1.5. If you get a f7, it's probably like a big, cheap camera with billions of lenses in it, and it zooms out a quarter mile. I don't know, maybe it's a telescope. You spend more money when you want to be able to pull in more light with a nice, crisp quality shot that doesn't have any soft blurs along it, anything like that. Unless you want it, then you can add the effect. But you start with perfect quality shots. So now I've got my speed booster, I've got my 50mm, I've got my terabyte, I've got my monitor that goes on top. I'm ready to roll. So the next live stream, which I think we're filming October 15th, which might be this Saturday, should have this camera all set up. There may be a little bit of different color variation between that and the main camera. I'm still trying to get the ISO correct, and it's not the exact same lens, so things don't have the same color. But I do have this cool LUT. Basically, it gives me the color coordination that matches the bar, because these LEDs wash it out. So it kind of looks like a white and with like less color. So I bring the color back in post. So that's nice. And this camera allows me to put that right onto the display so I can see what it's going to look like when it's edited. It's like I'm a pro. How did I get all this cool gear? I spent almost $2,000 on the setup. I spent almost $3,000 in the main setup. This is probably, was once $1,000. Patreon.com/CMC. My fans help support, or they click the join button below. So if you're interested in helping, or you know what, even if it's not me, if you have another YouTube channel that you watch and they tell you about their Patreon account or tell you to join or help them, these are the type of things that they get. They're giving back to you by building better quality video, extra angles, extra shots, higher picture quality, 4K and above. So supporting your favorite YouTuber is the best way to go about it. If you think they're going to make all their money from ads and you're not even clicking the skip ad button, we're talking pennies of money that come in. So if it's a YouTuber that doesn't have a bunch of views, has a low level of subscribers, if you were to give them $5, that's probably 500 to 1,000% more than they're going to see from ads, if they're even able to get ads with their channel status. We thankfully are, because we've been around since 2008. That's not the case with everybody. So support whoever it is. If it's us, great. If it's somebody else you're watching and you really enjoy their content, flip them a few dollars, figure out how to give back to those channels so that they can give back to you by being able to create cooler stuff, get better products, get better hardware. Just consider that next time you're watching a YouTube video. That's it, my friends. We're teaching you how to drink, or how to film it, which is kind of awkward.